Hi everyone, welcome to another review. Let's get this started, shall we? So today's review, I just recently rewatched last night this movie called the original Evil Dead movie, starring Bruce Campbell, who plays Ash. Ashley Williams. Sorry. I did see the remake of this movie too. Wait, what was I gonna say? This movie is a masterpiece. It's a classic. Even though there's a few outdated things about it, but it's a special effects are a little outdated, but it's a classic masterpiece that I never get tired of watching. I do remember watching the remake. You know, I do remember watching the remake of this movie back in 2013, 2014, around that time, and I thought it was a good movie too. So not as good as this one, but it's a good movie. You know. So basically, this movie, the original Evil Dead, Ash is played by Bruce Campbell. He's with his girlfriend, three pals, and his three pals, hike into the woods into a cabin for a fun night away. They find an old book, the Necronomicon, whatever it's called, whose text reawakens the dead when it's read aloud. The friends inar- inadvertently release a flood of evil and must fight for their lives or become one of the evil dead. Ash watches his friends become possessed and must take a difficult decision before daybreak to save his own life in this, the first of Sam Raimi's trilogy. You yeah. So it's a classic. It's basically classic low budget movie. Let's see, where was I? A remarkable achievement in the horror genre. This movie is, but it's just outdated. You know, when compared to other popular movies in its genre of the time, I would say this one stands out and is worth a watch for the sake of it. It would be it would be perfect to watch this around Halloween. The special effects are outdated, but it's very gory. There's a lot of wailing and laughing, which can bring grading overall worth watching. There are some parts that fell over the top in a bad way. Otherwise, it is well made, highly effective film. I love that what they did with the expectations they had for that time when it was launched. However, right now it's not that fun to watch. Take my opinions as someone who likes horror movies, not someone who loves them or knows everything about it. This movie alone changed the course of horror movies forever. The ultimate low budget horror. This movie has it all. The king of cult classic horror for a good reason. 45 years. It's a simple, straightforward story made on a low budget, but they still cooked a solid horror flick. The film maintains tension and suspense throughout the film. The background score elevates the experience into the next level. Overall, it's a good horror watch. There's something down there. The very first gross out movie, but the special effects in the film are kind of that would give you daymares and have nightmares that would have you sleeping with the lights on. When Evil Dead debuted at the Cannes Film Festival in 1982, a lot of studios passed it on. They felt that it was too gruesome, aggressive, and scary. However, Stephen King gave it his stamp of approval. Without that approval, the movie might have been canned. Since '81, he continues to praise and support the franchise. King advocated for the Ash and versus Evil Dead series. He even promoted the reboot in 2023. Interesting facts. A rented cabin was used to make the film. The crew members slept in the cabin, which unfortunately lacked plumbing and they were often freezing. They had to burn furniture to just stay warm. Apparently, one day, all the power tools that were left unattended were stolen overnight. Only two cameras remained. After filming ended, the crew but put together in a time capsule. It was buried into the fireplace. Perfectly campy and entertaining. A classic that does a fantastic job of getting value from a small budget. Damn good. How the hell did they pull this off in '81? I have no idea. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The greatest start to the one of the best franchises in horror comedy, a cult classic movie, is a real gem. It never grows out, it never grows old, and matures like fine wine. An evilly good supernatural horror movie for moviegoers. This cult classic will be part of their watch history. I suggest there are some charming parts to it, such as how it is made. Some effects were stop motion, similar to Beetlejuice movies, and even the prosthetic makeup effects. It is also supposed that Sam Raimi put some charm into this movie from one POV, so bad it's good, and another POV. Movies be so clever and thrilling. We do not get into the evilness until it comes and gets the four college students, except for Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell. And that was the best part. It was enjoyable to see the gory effects on the others, and they act just possessed and evil. I think this movie was also hilarious. Well, if you're drunk or high on something, that is. um, Evil Dead is not one of the best horror movies made. The one issue I have there is almost zero story to this movie. Besides that, everything is flawless. The characters got better during the runtime. Ash is very iconic. The cinematography is top notch. It feels like Halloween cinematography of how the camera moves. It has really good pacing for how simple this movie is overall as a first feature from Sam Raimi. It's top notch. It's crazy he did Spider-Man after this because it's entirely different from those films and how he made those when he made this in 97%. Classic, but damn, these undead wail for way too long. It's like one of the best. Never saw this on the big screen until screening. Evil Dead rules, Ash rules, Sam Raimi rules. Evil Dead 1981 is an absolute classic. I enjoy the franchise and the way they build the world and the story is near perfect. Yeah, this is some of the most fun I've ever had seeing a horror movie. And even in the parts that were bad were hilarious. It's classic. I feel gave it an incredible vibe. I definitely recommend it for horror fans. Cult classic revolutionized the horror genre and produced some of the most entertaining sequels. Definitive recommend watching the rest of the movies and the TV show if you want more. You could also read the comics. The first Evil Dead is simply beautiful. I've seen it at least, I've seen it once in 2014, so this is the first time I ever watched it in 12 years. I still enjoy it. It kept me glued to the screen from start to finish. It shows how low budget horror can become something great and unique. The practical effects are very well done for that era, and Ash is destined to become a hero in the early stages. A simply iconic movie. This is just a gore fest, and it's incredible. Through the practical effects look a bit dated now. Now the scares are still there, and they're good. You know, every horror fan should see this movie. I think the second one is exactly just like this one because I think so. I mean, I've never seen the second one before. I've never seen Army of Darkness before. I've never seen those movies before. This movie is like a gore fest. With a little bit of humor and just like Return of the Living Dead is right up there with that. Is right up there with that series. It's also right up there with Chud, which I'm gonna make a review of it later. I have to watch it. I haven't seen before. I have never seen it before, but I'm gonna watch it and talk about it next. Anyway, this is my review for Evil Dead, starring Bruce Campbell and directed by Sam Raimi. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know I'm trying not to make this video too long. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll be back next time. See ya.